What has changed in France? Over the past several years, France has undergone transformations that would have seemed unimaginable not long ago. For centuries, the country represented ideals of freedom, refinement, and cultural influence. Today, however, France is increasingly associated with uncertainty and tension. Many observers believe the explanation is not complex. A growing feeling of insecurity has entered everyday life. One of the most visible symbols of this shift has been recurring unrest in urban areas. Each year, thousands of cars and buildings are damaged or destroyed during riots and street confrontations. History shows that the decline of major powers does not happen suddenly. It usually begins quietly, with gradual erosion from within. This raises a difficult question. Are modern French cities experiencing the early stages of such a process? To understand what is happening today, France must be viewed in a broader historical perspective. In the early 20th century, the French Empire extended across multiple continents, including large parts of Africa, Asia, and the Americas. While those territories are now independent, the intellectual and political legacy of that era remains significant. France was the birthplace of ideas that reshaped the modern world: republican governance, secular state institutions, and the famous motto of liberty, equality, and fraternity. Even figures such as Napoleon Bonaparte, despite his ultimate defeat, left behind institutions that shaped European law and administration for generations. The French Civil Code, in particular, became a cornerstone of modern legal systems far beyond France's borders. From triumph to trauma, the 20th century brought profound upheaval. World War I left France among the victorious powers, but at an enormous cost. Millions lost their lives, large regions were devastated, and the national economy was deeply strained. The interwar years were marked by reconstruction, but also by instability. The Great Depression further undermined economic confidence, while political divisions weakened the belief that France was destined to lead by example. A renewed sense of direction emerged only after World War II. The Reconstruction period marked a decisive turning point. Under the leadership of Charles de Gaulle, France regained a sense of national pride and independence. The country rejected the idea of becoming either a replica of American society or a subordinate within the Soviet sphere. Instead, France pursued its own path, emphasizing sovereignty, cultural identity, and strategic autonomy. The decades that followed, particularly the 1960s and 1970s, are often described as France's golden age. Economic growth accelerated, public services expanded, and living standards improved steadily. French culture gained worldwide recognition for elegance, creativity, and intellectual depth. For a time, France appeared confident, cohesive, and prosperous. Yet history suggests that periods of prosperity are often followed by stagnation if underlying problems remain unresolved. Just as ancient empires weakened gradually rather than collapsing overnight, France began to show signs of internal strain, rising insecurity, and urban challenges. In recent years, concerns about public safety have grown, crime rates have risen, and in many cities, residents increasingly avoid certain areas after dark. A major factor behind this trend has been the development of specific urban districts characterized by long-standing social difficulties. In the 1990s, the French government introduced the category of sensitive urban areas. These zones were identified based on indicators such as high unemployment, poverty, and crime. The intention was to provide additional funding for schools, infrastructure, and social programs. However, over time, these districts became widely associated with disorder and danger rather than renewal. At their peak, there were approximately 750 such areas across the country, many concentrated around major cities, some suburbs of Paris, as well as districts in Marseille and other large urban centers. Developed reputations for persistent social problems. In several cases, these areas were linked to radicalization and criminal networks, further deepening public concern. In 2015, authorities attempted to reframe the issue by replacing the term sensitive urban areas with priority urban neighborhoods. While the language became less stigmatizing, the underlying criteria remained unchanged. poverty, unemployment, and elevated crime levels continued to define these districts. Today, the number of such neighborhoods has increased to roughly 1,500, suggesting that the challenge has expanded rather than diminished. For many ordinary citizens, these areas remain places to avoid. The change in terminology did little to alter daily realities, integration, and social policy. The persistence of these zones raises an important question. Why did they emerge in the first place, and why are they multiplying? Many analysts point to long-term migration and integration policies as a central factor. For decades, successive governments assumed that integration would occur naturally over time. Migrants, many from former colonies, were often settled in large housing complexes on the outskirts of cities. When economic growth slowed and industrial jobs disappeared, these communities were left with limited opportunities. As more affluent residents moved away, these neighborhoods became increasingly isolated. Extended families often remained, while public services struggled to keep pace with growing needs. Over time, some districts developed a sense of separation from the broader society. France historically favored an assimilation model, expecting all citizens to adopt a shared national identity regardless of background. In theory, this approach emphasized equality. In practice, without access to stable employment, quality education, or upward mobility, many residents found it difficult to feel connected to the nation as a whole. This lack of integration sometimes resulted in stronger identification with local networks, religious communities, or informal power structures. Rather than blending into the national fabric, divisions deepened. Crime, trust, and social tension. The structure of crime also plays a role in shaping public perception. French officials have acknowledged that in certain urban areas, a significant share of criminal activity involves non-citizens or individuals with recent migration backgrounds. While such statements require careful interpretation, they have fueled debates about the effectiveness of existing policies. A self-reinforcing cycle has emerged in some districts. Economic hardship contributes to crime. Crime drives away investment and residents, and the remaining population becomes increasingly isolated. During periods of crisis, this tension can escalate rapidly. A clear example occurred during the protests and unrest of 2023, following a high-profile incident involving a teenager. For several days, large suburban areas experienced widespread disturbances. Vehicles were burned, public buildings were damaged, and shops were looted. Authorities noted that many participants were very young, and social media platforms played a significant role in coordinating activity. These events highlighted a deeper issue, a generation born in France, yet feeling disconnected from French society. In some cases, this sense of alienation persists even among third-generation residents.